Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
It is the Big Biz Show, live from the Lock 100 studios in sunny, beautiful Southern California. Hope everybody out there is having a terrific day, because we certainly are. I'm Costa, that's Mary Godwin, Greg Todoroff, and of course, Captain Finance himself.
Hello. Are you saving money for college?
Yes, I just saw this.
Have you started a 529 plan?
Yes,
You
I
have.
have one for each kid.
529 plan is a great vehicle to save money. However, Howie Font, our punktrepreneur, is here. I think he's here. I don't know if we have any graphics for him, but Howie is here to talk about it. Are you excited about this topic?
I am excited about this topic, and I've actually recently heard that 529s are maybe not so great as we thought they were. So I have lots of questions for you.
Can I ask you guys this?
You can ask us anything you want.
How much was your college tuition per year when you went to school? Do you remember?
I
went to San Diego State. I had a vocal music scholarship to a school that ran out, and I had to spend my last 2 years at SDSU, and I think it cost about $1,200 a year.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was like $150 a credit hour or something.
Yeah, exactly right.
Books
Now
are more
it's
expensive.
40,000.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is, what percentage better is our education, what they're teaching you now, than it's the same, right? Education is education, right? Now, of course, there's technology, there's new subjects, there's new, I'm sure there's social media classes, I'm sure there's more social classes that are necessary. But overall, the read and write and arithmetic and business management and BA comes down to about the same thing.
Right.
So if it's, let's say because of the technology, it's 25% better, okay? Should cost you $1,600 a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Versus $1,200.
Yeah.
It's costing now $40,000
for UCs.
For
and,
UC
and
schools.
private schools are upwards of 80 to 90. I think NYU, which we were looking at for Lily, is over 100K.
Someone's got to pay that head football coach, guys.
Well, advertising is, hey, Howie, are you a believer like I am now that you send the kids, because you're going to have kids someday and you're going to have to make this decision. It's going to cost $500,000 a year by the time you have kids. But my suggestion now is go to the high school with ashtrays, junior college, for 2 years, get your undergrad done, and then go apply for a major school for the last 2 years. Would that be or has college just gone the way of the dodo in your mind? Is there a better way?
Listen, it's a little of both, but I definitely think that a lower and lower percentage of the population needs and is going to end up getting a undergraduate 4-year degree. You only need trade school for a lot of things. You only need an undergraduate, your AA degree you're talking about. And I know a lot of people that did that. I know that a lot of people that did that in Florida, the undergrads, the AA degrees, the community colleges are very cheap.
So when you graduated from Florida State, did you have guys that did the JC thing first and then went to Florida State for the last 2?
Yeah, there were a bunch of guys that showed up junior year and like, hey, I have a lot of money in my pocket. I haven't been wasting.
Yeah, exactly.
We're thinking about that option for real.
So the 529
There's nothing,
plan.
and by the way, I think stigma, it's important just to say, there's this social stigma around it, or they want the 4-year experience. I'm sorry, but it isn't anymore what it was. It's not Animal House. It's not worth a moderate little amount of debt. Like you were talking about $11,000, Sully. If you took out loans for that, that's not crushing you. Yeah. But a 4-year party is not worth what debt is today.
Well, let's continue the conversation, because I want to talk about 529 accounts, and I also want to talk about federal loan interest rates. And then also about planning, because it's something that is front and center. And before we do that, let's say hello to the DTC over there, and apparently James East just getting off the golf course. Hey James, does that sound familiar?
It's 2 shows in a row. He's come in looking like Spalding from
he looks like a college professor.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
All right, more from Howie Font. We're going to talk about 529 plans coming up here. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. The power of compound interest and how important it is getting a pile, no matter how large, of savings together at the beginning of life can make a big difference. And look, since you're not sending them to college, might as well buy a new Tesla, right, Greg? Here's what a Tesla sounds like. Hold on a minute, let me see if I...
Lock 100 Studios here in kind of not so rainy anymore, sunny Southern California. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, as always, appreciate you being along for the ride. Of course, that music you hear in the background is the world-famous Sullivan Band. Of course, I'm the world-famous Costa sitting here at the bar. Marybert Godwin, our executive producer is Greg Todoroff. And Sully.
3 Grammys, 4 companies in a restraining order. My Costa.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That sounds great today.
Ted Stryker, 25 years of radio in Los Angeles, California. Currently the co-host of Booker and Stryker on Alt 98.7 LA.
Buddy.
He's hosted shows MTV, VH1, 150 episodes of the Ellen DeGeneres Show. Also hosts a syndicated radio countdown show.
Did you just boo him?
Yeah,
Oh, that was a hey.
he hosts the countdown show syndicated Out of Order with Stryker. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ted Stryker.
Thanks, buddy. Good to see you.
Joins us here.
Look at that. What's happening?
So listen, Stryker, you're famous. You're legitimately famous. You've interviewed in your studio there every big name I can think of in music. How did you get started?
Well, first of all, I'm less than a Z-lister, whatever that is. I've had some incredibly famous people in this room, and this is my guest bedroom at home. This is where I do my podcast, Tuna on Toast. But I got started in the early 90s in Tucson, Arizona. I'm from LA. I was going to the University of Arizona, and I had no idea that you could work at a radio station. But I met a dude that worked at one, and I just asked if I could check it out. And the next day, I was on the radio, and I was addicted to the job. Like, I couldn't get enough of it. Eat, slept, drank, all of it was radio, and the goal was to get to LA, and somehow miraculously I got here.
Well, second major market for radio, right, Mike? I mean,
Yeah.
Then you've got, now you're on Alt 98.7 now, which is an alternative station. But the biggest thing you do is called Tuna on Toast, which I'm trying to make Tuna on Toast on TV, because I think you should do it here.
Yeah.
We're talking about that show.
I would love to do it in your studio there and
Yes.
work with you. Bringing this podcast, Tuna on Toast, to the next level would be amazing. So this is a show. It is 100% a music show. If you like people like Tom Morello and Tom DeLonge and Matt Skiba, Sum 41, Avenged Sevenfold, Mike Shinoda, this is the show for you. They come over to my house. We have an hour conversation.
That's a scam. You got Gwen Stefani in your front room. Come to my studio.
Where did the name
Just don't
come
park
from?
next to the Volkswagen.
Can we
That's
ask where the name came from? Where'd Tuna on Toast come from?
No.
Okay. Unbelievable question, by the way. Thank you for asking that. I love Seinfeld, and there was an episode of Seinfeld where George does everything the opposite, and when he had Tuna on Toast, things went horrible for him in his life, and then he switched to a different sandwich. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do Tuna on Toast, and hopefully it's going to be okay with me. I never thought the show would have any success and the name would stick. I have 20% regret by calling it Tuna on Toast because it doesn't describe that it's a music show and that it's somewhat decent.
Ted Stryker, co-host Booker and Stryker, Alt 98.7 Los Angeles. Ted, if you weren't doing this right now, I mean, what was the original plan as you were growing up?
I loved playing sports, and when I was 12, 13 years old, I was okay at it, but then everyone grew as tall as me and stronger than me, so that was kind of done.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I got lucky because I was 21 when I was on the radio.
Huge.
And I was leading this, I won't call it a double life, but in the morning.
You were. We got some people in the studio I want to talk to you about that. I got a question for you, because in terms of radio, when we got on radio 30 years ago, Mike.
Yep.
It was terrestrial radio was all there was. Like, you could only listen to the Padres on AM 600.
Yep.
Right? It was the only place. And then came digital. Now, of course, that killed that deal. But the only way to really get heard was terrestrial, because if you did a podcast in your garage, it's like nobody's listening, right? Like, we got a show.
Yeah.
But how did you get to where you had an audience? And when did you know you had an audience?
Oh, wow. An audience for the podcast
Yeah.
or just an audience in my life?
Yeah, for the podcast.
For the podcast, it happened, and I say this like in a super humble way, miraculously, like I have no idea how it happened. It's Tom Morello was the first guest from Rage Against the Machine, and the only way I got him as a guest was I sent him a message on Instagram, a DM, and he wrote back. I wrote him this like 1-paragraph message. Tom, I'm starting this new thing. The perfect guest would be you. I know this is a long shot. You want to do it? Within 2 minutes, he wrote back, yes. But I knew I had an audience. Within the first 2 episodes, Mike Shinoda, Tom Morello, wasn't just big names, but people from all over the world were messaging me. I could see the numbers going really, really high. I saw that it was charting on Apple, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? I got to stick with this thing. But I think just there's a lot of luck involved and just really, really great guests who open up to me.
I'm not sure that's luck. We've been in this business a long time.
There's a talent with a capital T involved as well. Ted, does Alt 97 let you guys promote the podcast? Because some radio stations are, no. You're only going to promote your show.
We all work for the same place, by the way. So
yeah, exactly.
You're talking.
Ironheart. Anyhow, do they let you promote it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, and any chance that I have, any chance I have an opportunity to slide it in when we're having just a normal conversation, Booker and Stryker and Tom Morello or Tom DeLonge or Phineas, be like, whoever it is, like, oh yeah, don't forget, they were on the podcast a few weeks ago. Make sure to go listen anywhere you get podcasts or watch it on YouTube.
Love it.
So hopefully in a non-promotional way and non-cheesy way, I'm able to slide it in.
Hey, Stryker, who's the biggest name that you've interviewed?
Well,
besides
today.
Us.
Wow. Well, I think it all depends on who you would ask who thinks is the most famous. For me, it's Seth MacFarlane and Dave Grohl overall in my career. Paul McCartney. Hold on, Paul McCartney.
Oh, Paul McCartney. What?
He's still alive?
So my degree of separation from So my degree of separation from a Beatle is 1?
Yeah.
Look at this opportunity, Sully, you now have.
Yeah.
You can now take the next step as a result of this interview because of how close I am to a Beatle.
Hey, Ringo, Stryker gave me your number.
Have you had any awkward interviews? Because you were just mentioning the Grammys, and I think people maybe show up a couple drinks in. What's the real awkward moment or maybe a belligerent moment that you've encountered?
Oh, gosh. I got to tell you, on that red carpet at the Grammys, people, for the most part, are very professional. If anybody at all is unprofessional, it's been me. And if I can just tell you a quick, 40-second thing, maybe quicker, it has to do with Tom Morello. I had this opportunity to interview him years ago, and they're like, Stryker, you're going to do this with Tom Morello. You're going to go to the venue and chat with him. So I went. I did a 30-minute interview, and that interview was going to be blasted everywhere. I forgot to hit record.
And you can never tell him. You act like it. Okay. That was a great show. Yeah. Finger pistols.
Best ever.
Good job, buddy. Hey.
Well, no, wait, hold on. No, I did have to tell him because we needed the audio.
He makes $150,000 a show for an hour set list. Yeah, that was brave of you.
So he was very nice, and I got the interview done.
I got a question for you. You are also a guy that's been involved in movies like Grandma's Boy and Sweetest Thing. Talk about the movie side. How'd you get in that, and what are you doing with it?
So, yeah, the movie Grandma's Boy had a small part in The Sweetest Thing. There's a snowboard movie called Out Cold and a few other random ones in TV shows. Again, just so much luck. When it came to Grandma's Boy, which is a movie produced by Adam Sandler, I got a call at the radio station, and they said, hey, there's this little part in here if you would like to come down and be in it. And so immediately I said yes. I was on the set, and if you've seen the movie, it's the David Spade vegan restaurant scene. Yes. I'm the host in that place. But for The Sweetest Thing, there was a time where I was taking acting classes while doing the radio, just because I always tried to, try to be decent at things that I know nothing about, like acting. I'm just terrible at acting. But I had a real audition for The Sweetest Thing. It's a Cameron Diaz movie. I went and I auditioned.
Wow. Whoa.
I auditioned. I did the script. And they actually called the next day and said, you weren't that good there, but there's another part that you could be good at. So I got to be in it.
Mike did a movie called On Golden Blonde. It was in the back of the video store.
I was about to ask
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Food. It was in the back of Blockbuster, if I'm not mistaken.
I was just about to ask him any Cinemax After
One
Dark.
One more question, buddy. Thanks for your time. I know you got to get on the air.
Type of movies. Ted, all that you're involved with, what makes you the happiest? Is there one thing that you're like, nah, this is my gold right here?
Oh, God, my favorite thing is connecting with one individual who is watching or listening to the content that I'm putting out.
That's beautiful.
In terms of,
I feel worse about myself. He's the best. He's the nicest guy I've ever met.
I know. I've got so much I need
Which
to
is
do.
why he's successful.
Right. What are you saying?
Well, no, you guys are six. I'm sitting here in a guest bedroom with a sign that is barely on your screen right now with a picture of the guy from Bewitched. I mean, that's really classic.
Our signal goes to the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Can I ask really fast before we go if your name has a throwback to the movie Airplane? Because when I heard Ted Stryker, I thought, wait, that sounds familiar.
We all did.
Yeah.
I picked the wrong week to do Zooms on some cockamamie TV show.
Good one.
Do you like gladiator movies?
Yes, and I have seen a grown man naked. Not impressive.
Stryker, I want you to come in studio and tape your show here.
Have to.
Yes.
I'm telling you, Tuna on Toast on TV. Give me a hand. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Bye.
Would it kill you to talk about my band?
All right, keep it right here. Much more to come with the Big Biz Show. Live television audience. We're back after this.
125 million TV homes across the country, and of course on Biz TV, American Life Network, and of course 175 countries and all the ships at sea on American Forces Networks. God bless our military men and women.
Rick, I want to make sure I have this right. Is it Kaleo or Kaleo?
Kaleo.
Kaleo Pepper
Let's
is
go
the...
Kaleo.
Whatever. Mr. Pepper, as we're going to address him today, lead singer guitarist of the band name Pepper. Pepperlive.com is their website. And this guy's story is incredible in the world of reggae. His dubs band Pepper and Sabotage sound system. And he has just been, I don't want to say he's spinning gold with everything
Dude,
he does.
you're like Elvis.
But he is spinning gold with everything he does.
It's crazy.
Most importantly, he's a wonderful human.
I keep on, well, I wouldn't know because Rick kept me from him. Kaleo, great to see you, man.
Hey guys, thank you for that incredible intro. And by the way, you can call me Mr. Pepper. I know my name's a little hard to pronounce, but actually, it's Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
I didn't go. I didn't go through all this to just be Mr. Okay,
I love it. I'm just going to call you Bones.
I love it. Thank you, Doctor.
Wait a second. Would you look on the screen? Is the only guy maybe as cool as you is Lenny Kravitz? I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
If we put that on, we would get arrested as predators.
Where are you zooming in from?
Tube top. And look,
Yeah. There'd be a knock at the door.
Can I ask you, because I've had the opportunity to play, as like Big Fist, Little Pond in San Diego. But what is it like, honestly? I mean, are you shaking like Don Knotts when you walk out there and there's 50,000 people? I mean, seriously, there's got to be a thing at some point, and there's got to be a thing that you get used to at some point, because that's a lot of people.
Well, if I were ever to get used to it, I think I'd be over it. I'd be done with it, or it would be done with me. There's something to be said about having those jitters, but also too, it kind of makes me personally focus a lot more into the service that I'm about to provide for however many people are there. And you got to keep in mind, like, we're just a small band that started at house parties in Kailua, Kona. And Pepper is the three same members as we did in 1997. So we've been able to work our way through like every situation of a crowd, whether it was a house party, into bars, into small clubs, into bigger venues, and then into big festivals.
It's interesting because as we've grown as a band, and we play like it with 700 people, that's a lot of people in a small club, but I'm still looking at them.
Yeah.
It's still like they're, I can smell their, chick vomit. But when you're in those things, how do you connect with those guys when they're 45 feet away? Is it still easy to do?
Yeah, it is. It's because it's undeniable, like, how much fun they're having. And then it sends it right back to you in an energetic kind of way of like, it took so much for that individual, that just one person to get there, whether it was spending money on the ticket, the babysitter,
the parking,
how they got their shift covered for the next day. We've got Uber expenses. We've got beer that's like $16-18. We have merchandise, and they're there and they're so present. And even though they're on their phone capturing the moment, they're still enjoying it and being present in that way.
How cool is it to watch them sing your lyrics along with you? When you start seeing, like, you went from the smaller clubs and then all of a sudden there's all these people and they're singing your lyrics back to you. How cool is that?
Like when I wrote Happy Birthday, it was an unbelievable feeling.
Oh, that's a big song. Great song.
Yes, to answer your question, It's fantastic because when I'm on stage, I kind of forget some of the lyrics, and so all I have to do is actually look at them, and they help me out. They're like a real life teleprompter.
You're phoning it in. I love it.
Kaleo Wassman, the lead singer and a guitarist of Pepper, of course. Their website is pepperlive.com. You've been doing it with guys, friends you met in high school. You talk about longevity. I assume you have to love and really get along with the people, especially in a band that you've been with since high school. What's the key to that chemistry?
I really kind of credit that to being born and raised in Kaleo, Kona, where it was a very, very small town back then. And there was just a different kind of, growing up. And the respect that was, brought to us as children and how to come up with that with all of our parents and our uncles and our aunties and our cousins. And you just kind of understand this little town is your family. Kona is, and you know what, you'll always see on anything that's with Pepper. It's just representing Kona since day one.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And all three of us being from there and growing up in a very small town with, the ocean, surfing, hiking, and a lot of just family, gatherings and stuff. It just feels kind of like we're taking Kona everywhere that we go around the world when we play.
Hey, Kaleo.
And that's because it's really instilled in us that beautiful upbringing that we were able to fortunately have.
You bring up small town and family. Isn't that what you guys do when you go on tour with a guy like John? You've got a tour manager, you've got a little traveling town and family there that goes. Pull the covers back for us, and what is that like as an artist? Are you guys completely separate from the crew, the tour manager, and the crowd, or is it kind of like in concert, like a symphony?
Yeah, it's completely different from what you just said. What it is it's
that wouldn't be the first time
it's a group of people that are there to provide this beautiful service. And when we all work together and it's all synergistic, then the show and the experience is really laid out the way that we wanted it to. And it's like I said, it's a really big thing for just even one person to get out there.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people, it just gets amplified by that much. So you got to bring your best to this experience for them, and it only makes the experience better for you in that turn.
Hey, so John, when you have to move the chess pieces around, right? When there's a wink and a nod that he's going here, he's going there. Kaleo's got his bowl of green M&Ms in the dressing room, and whatever it takes. Is that just after a while you get into a groove on that thing, or is it known?
It's all a groove. I've worked with Kaleo, booked Pepper a number of times in my.
How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
It's great to see you, brother. Great to see you. And he's just a magical dude. And it's really about ingratiating a fan experience.
Whatever you do in life, whether it's like a king or a street sweeper or whatever your position, you're in the service industry. That's really it. And so to embrace that and to love that. And just to know what being on Earth is for me personally, it's like, okay, great. And it sets me off like I get to do this, I don't have to, I get to do this. It's a beautiful situation.
See, Mike has to because he's married and he's also in the service industry.
Pretty much, yeah. And for the record, I am not Fat Mike, even though I may appear to be that guy.
Oh, good.
Kaleo, is home base Kona for you?
So we have a property in Kona. But I live in California for the most part now. When the boys and I all moved over in 1999, we've moved to a town called Carlsbad, California.
Hey.
Oh, you mean like where we're at right now?
Oh, if that's where you are.
Would it kill you to rehearse here? Would it kill you to give us some business, for God's sakes?
Hey, you guys are invited to any rehearsals. But so now since we got one guy living in Spain and one guy living by the studio in LA, I moved to Oceanside, and I've been there for 15 years now, and I absolutely love this town. It's so familiar to me.
It's San Diego.
He mentions
there's a lot of.
Kaleo, you mentioned Oceanside, and I think there's the aloha spirit in Oceanside because of the Pacific Islander community, just like Kona is. But when you're walking around Oceanside, are you just Kaleo, Oceanside resident, cool guy everyone loves?
Look, man, wherever I walk, I'm just Kaleo. Sure. And so I'm just lucky, and I'm just lucky enough that I get to hang out in Oceanside and have a lot of friends that I have made over the last 15 years that have been living there ever since they were kids.
Kaleo Wassman, the lead singer, guitarist of Pepper. Of course, the website, pepperlive.com. Would it kill you to drive 11 minutes south to come to Carlsbad?
Come on, we got Beanie Weenies on Wednesday.
Yeah. Much more of the Big Biz. Keep it right here. Continue from the Loft 100 Studios. It is the live music, live band edition of the BBS. Hope everybody's having a great day. Thanks for being along for the ride. I am Costas, sitting way over here at the end of the bar. Of course, Barry Bergoglin, our executive producer, and Sully.
Were you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah. I had 3 Celsius before the show.
I started taking roids again because I've been working out so much. So it's just, I think that's what's happening.
Again?
So does that explain? So the muffin top is all of this now. Is that your head or is your neck blow a bubble?
Pretty much.
Can I ask you?
Ask me anything.
So are you hopped up? Because it seemed like you had a couple Starbucks before the show.
Yes, I have had a lot
He's
of
just
coffee.
excited with the live studio
that
audience.
Or as Greg would say, there's a lot of walking through the smorgasbord.
Let's not forget, he's getting good night's sleep now.
Oh, I know he is. That's right.
Friends at Vivos.
Right.
Vivos.
Yeah, our friends. Yeah, you've heard that on the show. That's good. You kind of skated on that deal for free, didn't you?
Big time.
I just wonder why you went to the dentist. They made you disrobe.
It was weird. Yeah. No, he did it voluntarily.
I know he did.
I don't have teeth at my ankles. What the hell?
All right, those were the days.
Oh, goodness.
Greg, we have John Reese in, another music maven. He's a disrupt artist. He's a. Have you heard of the band LA Guns?
Yes.
Have you heard of the band Guns N' Roses?
Yes.
Well, he may or may not be the manager of Guns N' Roses.
Wow.
Not the manager, the tour manager. Close enough.
So I'm not the assistant manager. I'm the assistant to the manager.
There you go.
It's still impressive. Great to have you, man.
Great to be here.
Can you, so obviously we're doing a business and music show today, and we want to have like one of each, because really, if you think about the artist, and then you think about the guys that are making the tours, then you think about the guys on the radio. And back in the day, there's a thing that me and Mike have to sign every year, and I'm not kidding. It's called a payola clause.
Ugh.
And what it means is we have to sign a piece of paper that says, we agree not to take bags of heroin and cash to play your song. That's basically what it says.
That's right.
And it came out, I can't remember, 1970 or 1965. And we still have to do it because radio was the only pathway to distribution. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, that went up the window.
Sure has changed, my friend. Sure has.
I mean, honestly, it was like I was saying about the Padre game, right? Suddenly you didn't have just one radio station. How has that changed your business? Is that better?
Well, look, man, my life changed on July 20th, 1977. I was 16 years old in Phoenix, Arizona, and I saw Led Zeppelin.
Wow.
And to me, the greatest rock band in the history of the world.
Hey.
Well, Sullivan's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
No, but talking about disruptors, right? We went from I want to hold your hand to this thing that was, oh my goodness.
Well, it works perfect for my segue into the music business. Here I'm 16 and then I'm 27 and I'm at the Sweet Child of Mine video shoot.
Interesting how you lost those 10 years during the 60s.
Yeah.
So if you see the movie Almost Famous, it talks about Lester Bangs and about how that whole scene, a lot of it in San Diego. Yeah. Was it easier to slip into the business back then because you weren't in it and then you were in it?
You had an interesting way into the business.
Well, I in college I started as security. You know the yellow jacket guys that are in front of the big gorilla dudes that are in front of
me and Mike have one in the back of the car in case we go anywhere.
There you go. Makes sense. I started a company called VIP Event Services at Arizona State, and so I did concert security. First big show that we did with my own company was a band called Queen.
Wow. Oh my God!
No way.
So you were the guys that kept people from going backstage.
Exactly.
Or let them in, depending.
Yeah,
Well, back then you could go backstage, but you had to do something. You know?
Now we're talking.
Back then.
Did you big time Freddie Mercury? Like, hey, can I see your ID?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, man. Flash forward to 91, and we did the Freddie Mercury tribute with Axel and with Elton John. One of the most magical things at Wembley Stadium. But Freddie Mercury was a god. Mm-hmm. You know, he was the greatest frontman in history. Axl Rose is the greatest voice in history in rock. And I've been blessed to have a almost 40-year career with all this.
Don't you love that you're in it because you loved it, not because, it's amazing that you thought of it when you were age 16.
But his spectrum goes from Axl Rose to Pope John Paul II.
Is that the international symbol for spectrum?
I think so.
It is. No, everyone says I'm on the spectrum, so that's a different question.
But it's true. And what I find interesting is on the business side, you had no business doing security for the Queen, for Queen at that age. How did you manage that? You had to have.
I went to work for this big company that did Super Bowls and everything, and then I became the district manager. I got them a ton of business, and they wouldn't pay me. So I'm like, can I use the word F?
Sure.
Yes, you could use that.
So I said basically F you, and I started my own company with a couple people, and before you know it, so then
Attaboy.
I went to started doing personal. Back then we called them bodyguards.
It's like this.
What do we call them now? We don't call them bodyguards?
Personal security.
Oh.
Venue security. So then I started doing a bunch of bands, got a phone call that an artist needed a tour manager that could deal with people on drugs. Guys that used drugs.
You know what we call that? Tuesday. So my question, it's so interesting because the day that you didn't get paid was a pretty pissed off day. And if you fast forward even a month or so, it was the best thing that happened to you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Isn't that how it happens? We always talk about the radio business, how, look, if you're emptying the trashes or you're the receptionist, you're going to be on the air someday.
You're in the building.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be the number one show.
Yep.
Tell us what a tour manager does, because that's different than a manager.
Wow. Yeah. The tour manager basically is the babysitter in chief, if you will. And
get him to the Greek,
coordinating everything. I mean, we played about 300 stadiums in 3.5 years, all over the world.
Filled that belly up with 600 people a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, right.
Just saying.
All 5 continents on a private 727. I was 28, Axel was 27, Slash was 25. We were freaking kids.
How did you babysit those guys?
How are you still alive?
No cell phones, no internet.
Yep.
They're just gone and you can't find them.
No, isn't that interesting how...
it's in their books. Multiple
and then 86 happened.
Multiple riots all over the world. They were literally from 1988 to 1992, they were Taylor Swift. They were that big.
That was the time when we all had pagers, and everyone, it looked like the shootout, the OK Corrals, like this.
Yeah.
Do you think because you didn't have access to every bit of communication and people weren't up your, every second, every day like you are now, that it was easier or was it more efficient?
You and I are the same age, by the way. We're born 14 days apart.
One more day, I would have been over it. Because I got these guys on the dating site thinking I'm 45.
Yeah. We're 14 days apart. But at the end of the day, I'm blessed to be the age that I am to experience it without social media, without all this insanity, with real news and Walter Cronkite and shit that felt.
We had
real.
that conversation the other day about there is no Edward G. Murrow, there's no Walter Cronkite. You have to listen to Fox and CNN and
journalism's dead.
And us because it's all editorialized.
It's all opinion these days. It's all entertainment.
I want to know about the music side of it because it seems to me. Listen, there's geniuses that age, and there's geniuses now. But there's so much out there now because the accessibility is out there. Mm-hmm. I think we're missing a lot of them.
Absolutely.
And I think there was a secret sauce back then to having a band go in and make it. I think part of it was timing, right?
Well, look, it was a different world. We talked about it earlier. Radio. It was radio. It was Rip magazine. It was there was no internet. You had to go tour your off, then you hoped that your song got on the radio, then you hoped that you got enough support at radio and that the song connected that you got on MTV. That was the world in 1985 to 1990.
God, it's such a circuitous route now. It's not even close to that anymore.
It's playlisting. It's just completely different.
Did the stress from what you did ever affect you adversely?
Well, I was sober when I was with Guns N' Roses because I had to be.
Sure.
Basically.
Mike's been sober for 70 days.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Not in a row. Yeah. Not consecutive.
But I want the responsibility on your shoulders.
It was awesome, man. Are you kidding me? We flew around. We stayed in the best hotels in the world on private jets, watching Axel and that band just freaking crush it.
Yeah.
Right? Changing people's lives. There's nothing, and he knows this. There's nothing like music.
No, there's
music is the most magical life force on earth, man.
I agree. I wonder. I know what you're asking. Because what you're asking is, if you look back at the younger John Reese, would you say, how the hell did I do that? Because it was a different time, and that was a big building on your shoulders to do.
The best of times, the best of buildings, a lot of stress. We had 5 riots. We had so much that happened over those years. I mean, you watch Behind the Music on VH1, it explains it all right there. I watched it the other night, and I was just like, wow, all that really happened in my life. And, you know, it was magical when I was a kid.
And the amazing part is for us on the outside, remember we were talking about some of the bands back then? It's so mystical. It's so glitzy from out here. And when you meet the people that are really in the business, they're just dudes like you. They're just people in an extraordinary position. I want to keep you here because we have a pretty famous artist joining us here. I want you to be on that interview. And I also want to talk about the Disrupt Artist Management and the damn podcast. But we got a special guest right here for a second. I think Mary's going to like him, and I think you guys will join him in a second. James, take us out. So we'll get to that. The Big Biz Show continues. Lucky to be here in Southern California inside the Loft 100 studios. Those gentlemen are the Dre Trader Trio, greatest in the business, easy for me to say. The guy stumbling over his tongue is Costa right here, Godwin, Greg Todorov. And Sully, I cannot say Day Trader Trio to save my life. Well, the Trey, they get me older Trader Trio. Yeah. They get me older through the Gray Trader Trio. Pretty much.
His name's Trace.
I know it's Trace, but
DTT.
Yeah, DTT, but I always screw it up. Trace. I always screw it up if I want to say Day Trader Trio, I get hung up on, I want to say Trace. Day Trace.
It's Trace's Trader Trio.
It is, whatever.
Tell us about Sam Reich.
Sam Reich is a CEO, chairman of SAB Bio, SAB Bio. Their ticker symbol is SABS. And he joins us once again here on the Big Biz Show. Sam, how are you?
Good to see you, man.
Good. How are you? Nice to see you too. Thank you for having me.
Hey, give us a reintroduction again on SABS. We had a lot of email come back after we talked to you last time, and I want to talk about the biotech part of this and what you guys do exactly, because you've got a number of SAB 142 and so on and so forth. Give us a review one more time.
So SAB is a clinical stage biotechnology company, and we are developing a novel drug to treat type 1 diabetes and hopefully prevent the disease from progressing or prevent people from developing diabetes altogether.
The interesting thing is you have this SAB 142. This is a novel therapy. It seems like it's going to change the lives of potentially millions of people. Talk about that. Give us an overview.
So SAB 142 is an immunomodulator, and type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. So what the drug does is it engages with the cells of the immune system and tells them to sort of calm down and dials it back a little bit, hopefully preserve the cells that the diabetes is attacking, which is the cells in the pancreas that make insulin. So this drug kind of quiets the immune system down to prevent the immune system from attacking the patient's pancreas.
Sam, how is this different than other therapies currently? What makes this, what's the tiebreaker here?
Well, today, there's no drug like this approved for type 1 diabetes, but there is a drug further along than ours that does something similar, but is not as effective. That drug is called thymoglobulin. It's made by, I'm sorry, I misspoke. This drug is called T-Shield, and it's made by Sanofi. And it's similar in that it quiets the immune system to preserve beta cells. Just all the data shows that ours does it better. T-Shield binds one target, molecular target, and thereby dampens the immune system. Ours binds hundreds of different targets and has a more broad effect to quiet the immune system. And the data to date has shown that that's more effective.
Hey, I was going to ask
you. Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned a few minutes ago about eventually possibly preventing diabetes. Is it, and I know we talked last time, I think, about the difference between type 1 and type 2. Is type 1 something that is inherited? Is it genetic? Is it something, how would you know who should be treating themselves to prevent it?
That's a great question. So the science is not really sure yet what leads up to it, because it strikes anyone at any time. And sometimes it strikes family members, which indicates a genetic connection, but sometimes it strikes people many times that have no medical history or no family history of it. So it may not just be genetic. The way we can catch them to prevent them from developing it is through screening. So today, technology, diagnoses has the ability to screen patients for the antibodies that attack the pancreas. And if a patient has those, they're called auto-islet antibodies. And if a patient has those antibodies, we can predict that they will develop type 1 diabetes sometime soon if they've started to have some inability to control their blood sugar. We call that stage 2 type 1 diabetes. So they don't need insulin yet, they're not sick yet, they don't have any symptoms, but we can detect them through screening if they get screened. And there's major campaigns globally to have more and more patients screened. And if we get them at that time, our drug offers the promise of preventing them from developing the diabetes that requires them to need insulin.
Wow. Hey, Sam, let's assume this goes all the way to the 1 yard line. You get this to market. What does the life of a diabetic look like differently on your therapy versus existing insulin injections and so on and so forth on a daily basis? How does that change the life of a diabetic patient?
That's also a great question, and we have what we hope for and the ultimate potential, and then what we're pretty confident we can get. So if we start with what's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is that these patients do not need to inject themselves with insulin, that they can live their daily lives as if they don't have diabetes and have normal blood sugar and normal A1C. That's the goal. We don't know yet if this is enough to do that, but what we're confident based on all the data that this will do is allow patients to have better managed blood sugar so that they are not so desperately needing to be worried about insulin or going high or going low. Patients can have episodes like going low, which can sometimes lead to an emergency room visit. If you've ever seen someone who's had that episode, it's almost like having like a mild seizure. Yeah. Yep. They have to put so preventing those things from happening, but also having them have better controlled blood sugar than they would if they were just always on insulin, and therefore have fewer complications like diabetic retinopathy and chronic kidney disease, and have more comfort and confidence that they're not going to have these complications, which are really catastrophic down the road. In addition to just an easier day-to-day management of the disease, less fear of having highs and lows or having out-of-control blood sugar.
Sam Rice, CEO, chairman of SAB Bio, SAB Bio. Their ticker symbol is SABS.
Hey, Sam, so tell me what's next for you guys, or what's the rest of 2025 look like? Best case here, because you guys seem to be marching right along. I mean, it seems like you're in the right place, right time. Things seem to be going well. What are we enthusiastic for here?
We recently just a couple of weeks ago announced data from our phase 1, which was everything we hoped it would be, validating our drug's mechanism of action and safety profile. Everything that we said our drug would do, we showed that it does do in phase 1. And so now we're ramping up for phase 2, which we can start by the middle of this year. And that's a trial that will conduct all over the world, in Australia, in Europe, in the UK, and the US. So there'll be sites for patients all over the world. Get this drug into over 100 patients and prove definitively that it does work, and get that data that shows that this is an effective drug that's going to go to the market and going to make a lot of people's lives better.
So many people battling diabetes across the world, and this guy is doing something about it big time. The chairman, CEO, SAB Bio, SABS is their ticker symbol, Mr. Sam Rice. Sam, always appreciate it. Want to see you back again on this program soon. Again, their website, sab.bio, SAB Bio.